Every time you meet someone new, um, especially in the West, you just grab their hand and shake it. Have you ever thought about why we do that?
Not really. I
Uh,
guess it is just polite, right? It is just what you do.
right. We do it without even thinking. At parties, at
Yeah.
work, everywhere.
Hmm.
But originally, it was an ancient security check. You were actually proving that you did not have a hidden weapon like a dagger in your sleeve.
Wait, seriously?
Mhm.
Haha, that is crazy. So it is like a literal security pat down.
Exactly. You hold out your dominant hand, the one you would hold a weapon with, and you let a stranger get really close to you. It is a huge sign of trust.
Wow. I mean, our brains just think of it as saying hello, but our bodies are playing out this ancient survival instinct. That is fascinating.
It really is. And that bizarre, invisible habit brings us to the core of today's deep dive. Welcome, everyone. Today we are exploring why we do the strange things we do. We are going to look at how our daily habits shape who we are.
Yeah, and we have a really great source for this. We are looking at a book called Global Tapestry: Learning English Through World Cultures. It is such an interesting text.
Our mission today is to explore how everything, from what we eat to how we say hello to who we live with, creates the unique identity of a country. And the goal is to see how learning about these different lifestyles actually brings us all closer together.
Right, and what makes this book so cool is that it is supposed to be a guide for learning English, but it shows that you cannot just memorize words. To learn a language, you have to understand how the people actually live.
Yeah, you have to understand their worldview. And the book sets up this really fascinating idea right at the start. It says that realizing just how different we are, like noticing all the crazy differences in how we live, is actually the exact thing that makes us more open-minded.
I love that. So, by looking at all our differences, we find out how similar we really are underneath.
Exactly. So let's jump right into section one. The book starts by defining a really big word. The word is culture. People argue about what this means all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Experts use so many complicated words to explain it. But this book keeps it so simple. It just says culture is the way people live.
The way people live. That is it. Just five simple words.
Yeah, and it lists things like food, clothes, language, festivals, and just general behavior. It says every country has its own unique mix of these things.
But think about what it is doing there. It is mixing physical things, like a piece of clothing or a plate of food, with completely invisible things, like traditions and how we behave.
Right. Because they are all connected. I mean, think about a bowl of rice. It is not just food, right? It is the history of the farmers, the weather, the rain, and the recipes passed down from her grandmother to her kids.
It is the whole history on a plate. So if culture is the way we live, it is kind of like the invisible software running on your smartphone, an operating system.
That is a great example,
Yeah,
like iOS or Android. Explain that a bit more.
sure. So when you use your phone, you do not actually see the operating system. You just click on the camera app or send a message. The system runs silently in the background, making everything work.
Ah, I get it. You do not even notice it is there until something goes wrong. Or until someone hands you a different phone and you do not know how to use it.
Uh-huh, exactly. Culture works the exact same way. You don't wake up and say, I am going to perform my culture today by drinking chai. You just drink it because that is your normal setting.
Yeah, it is just life. But when you travel or meet someone from far away, you might experience a system crash. Like they do something totally normal for them, but it feels so weird to you.
Right, because you are running on different software. But we have to be careful. If we say culture is just clothes and food, does that make it sound too simple?
That is a good question, but I don't think so. What you wear is actually a really deep choice, like wearing a heavy wool suit in cold London versus wearing a light cotton dress in a hot country. It is how we survive and show who we are.
So the surface things actually show us the deep things. Once we understand that culture is this big invisible system, we can look at the most fun part of it, the food.
Oh, yes, the culinary lens. There is no better way to understand people than by looking at what is on their dinner plate.
The book says food tells us a lot, and it gives three really cool examples: India, Japan, and Italy. Let's talk about India first. It highlights their love for spicy food.
No, when a lot of people hear spicy, they just think of hot chilies. But the book is talking about the complex spices, the masalas.
Right, the mix. Cardamom, cumin, black pepper, turmeric. It is like 20 different things all mixed together.
And historically, Those spices were used to keep food safe before we had refrigerators that kill bacteria in hot weather. But it became more than just keeping food safe. It became a whole philosophy.
A philosophy of mixing things together.
Exactly. When you make a curry, you take all these strong, different flavors and you cook them together until they become one new, amazing taste. It kind of reflects India itself, right? A huge mix of different people and histories all coming together.
That makes total sense. Now let's look at Japan. The text says Japan focuses on simple and beautifully presented food. That is the complete opposite of a curry.
It really is. Traditional Japanese food is all about keeping things pure. Instead of hiding the flavor with 20 spices, they want you to taste the pure, natural flavor of one thing, like a piece of fresh fish in sushi.
And the presentation is huge. It has to look beautiful. It forces you to slow down.
Right.
You look at it, you appreciate nature, and you are just present in the moment.
Yeah. And then the book mentions Italy with pizza and pasta. This comes from regular, everyday people making amazing food from simple things like wheat, tomatoes, and olive oil.
It is food meant to be shared with a big, loud family. 3 completely different software programs for eating.
Haha, yes. But it is not just about what we eat. The text talks about how we eat. And this is my favorite part. It compares eating with chopsticks to eating with your hands.
Yes. And the book says something really funny but true. It says sometimes food simply tastes better with hands.
I totally agree with that. But is it just a feeling, or is there science behind it?
There is actual science.
Mm.
Eating is not just about your tongue. It is about touch, too. Your fingers have tons of nerve endings.
Oh, wow. So when you touch the food, your fingers are actually sending messages to your brain.
Exactly. If you eat with your hands, like people do in India, the Middle East, and parts of Africa, your fingers tell your brain about the temperature and the texture before the food even reaches your mouth.
That is amazing. So your brain is already prepared for the flavor.
Yeah, it makes the whole experience richer. When you use a metal fork, you put a cold barrier between you and your food. You lose that connection.
Though, forks and chopsticks have their own history. In Europe, people started using forks to keep their clothes clean and show status. And chopsticks are so elegant, you can pick up one tiny grain of rice.
Right, they're great tools. But the book makes a really important point here. It says, what feels normal in one country may feel strange in another.
That is such a huge lesson for learning English or traveling. If you grew up using a fork, eating a messy curry with your hands might feel wrong. But if you grew up eating with your hands, using a sharp metal fork feels so strange and distant.
We always think our way is the normal way. But normal is totally relative. And if food is different, the way we treat each other is even more different. Let's move from the kitchen to the front door.
The mechanics of respect. The very first moment you meet someone.
The text shows how we show respect differently. We talked about the Western handshake. It means equality, right? You look them in the eye and squeeze their hand.
Yes, it says, we are equals and I'm not afraid to get close to you. But then the book talks about the Japanese bow. This is the exact opposite of a handshake.
How so? Because there is no touching.
Exactly, no touching at all. They keep their physical distance. And while a handshake is about being equal, a bow is about understanding your place in society.
Right. It is not just a simple head nod every time.
No, it is very precise. How deep you bow and how long you hold it depends on who you're talking to. If it is your boss, you bow deeper. If it is a friend, it is a quick nod. It shows respect for their personal space and their position.
It is all about harmony. And then the book brings up India again with the namaste. You put your hands together in front of your chest and bow slightly.
I love the meaning of namaste. It mixes the respect for space, like the bow, but it adds a spiritual side. The word basically means the divine in me respects the divine in you.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
You aren't just saying hello to a worker or a boss.
Yeah.
You're saying hello to their soul.
Yeah. So we have the handshake for equality, the bow for social harmony, and namaste for spiritual connection. But this idea of respect goes way beyond saying hello. It changes how families live.
This part of the book is super interesting. It says that in many Asian cultures, people focus on family bonding. So they live with their parents even after they get married. But in Western countries, kids move out early.
Yeah, like at 18, they are expected to leave the house.
So let me ask you this. Does this mean Westerners do not care about family bonding? Is moving out disrespectful?
It is so easy to think that. An outsider might look at an American family and say, wow, they don't love their parents, they just leave them. But that is a complete misunderstanding of their cultural software.
Okay, so what is the real logic behind moving out?
In the West, the whole goal of parenting is to raise an independent adult. someone who can survive on their own. So when a kid moves out and pays their own rent, it is actually the highest form of respect.
Oh, I see. They are proving to their parents that they did a good job raising them.
Exactly. They are saying, you worked hard to raise me and now I can take care of myself. You can relax. If they stayed in the house too long, it might be seen as a burden on the parents.
That makes so much sense when you explain it that way.
hmm
Now, what about the Asian model, where multiple generations live in one house?
Well, in that system, success is not about being independent. Success is about doing your duty for the family. Historically, farming rice took a lot of people. One small family could not do it alone. You needed grandparents, parents, and kids all working together.
So staying together is how you survive.
Yes. And respect means showing you will care for your parents when they are old, just like they cared for you when you were a baby. Moving out early might seem selfish, like you are abandoning your team.
Wow. It is so cool to see how a handshake matches the Western idea of independence, and the namaste matches the Eastern idea of everyone being connected in a big family.
Two completely different ways to build a happy, respectful family.
Okay, so we talked about private family life. Let's talk about the loud public stuff, the fun stuff. Section 4 is all about clothes and festivals.
The things that everyone loves to take pictures of when they travel.
Exactly. The book says traditional clothes reflect history and identity. It mentions saris in India, kimonos in Japan, and hanboks in Korea. Are these just pretty dresses, or is there more to it?
There is so much more. Before we had factories making cheap clothes, what you wore was basic survival. You had to use whatever plants or silk grew near you to survive the weather.
But then it became an art form, right?
Totally.
Okay.
Take the sari. It is just one long piece of cloth, right? Maybe 6 or 9 yards long. But how you wrap it, the colors, the patterns, it tells everyone exactly where you were from.
Oh, wow. So it is like a name tag.
Yeah. And the people weaving the fabric tell stories with the patterns. So when a woman wears a hand-woven sari today, she is literally wrapping herself in her family's history. It is a really proud way to say, I know who I am.
And it is the same with the kimono or the hanbok. It connects you to your past in this fast, modern world.
Exactly. It is a public celebration of identity. And speaking of public celebrations, we have to talk about festivals.
The book mentions Diwali and Holi in India, the Lunar New Year in China, and Christmas. It says festivals bring people together to create happiness. But what is the deeper purpose? Why do we spend so much money and energy on them?
Well, historically, normal life is just a lot of hard work. Everyday life can be really boring and tiring. Festivals give everyone something amazing to look forward to. It breaks up the boring routine.
You have to do it together, right?
Right.
It isn't a festival if you are alone.
That is the key. Look at Lunar New Year. Millions of people travel at the exact same time to be with their families. They clean their houses, they eat the same special foods. Doing all those things together makes the whole community feel strong and united.
The book mentions Diwali, which is the Festival of Lights, and people light tiny clay lamps called diyas.
Yeah, and think about when we do this. Many cultures have festivals of light during the darkest, coldest time of the year. It is a way for the community to say, hey, times are dark, but we will make our own light together. It is all about hope.
And then there is Holi, the Festival of Colors, which is
Wow.
just wild, people throwing colored powder and water at each other in the streets.
Holi is amazing because it acts like a pressure valve for society. You know, everyday society has lots of strict rules about who is the boss, who is older, who you have to respect.
Right? Lots of rules.
But on Holi, the rules are broken. For one day, a young kid can throw colored water on an old person. A regular worker can put color on their boss. Everyone is equal under all that bright color. It is a day of pure joy and chaos.
That sounds like so much fun. It lets everyone just relax. But, I have to ask a tough question here.
Okay, what is it?
The book uses food, clothes, and festivals to teach us about culture. But sometimes, when tourists visit a country, that is all they care about. They just want the spicy food and the fun festival pictures for social media.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Do we risk turning real people into, like, a cartoon? Like, we only care about their holidays and ignore their real, everyday struggles.
That is a really fair point, and it is a real danger. If you think a whole culture is just eating pizza or throwing color, you don't really understand them at all. You're just watching a show.
Exactly. You just want the entertainment.
But on the other hand, we have to start somewhere. If I try to teach you about a new country by explaining their tax laws or their boring history textbooks, you will fall asleep, right?
Yeah, I would totally tune out.
Right. Food and festivals are designed to be fun and beautiful. They are the hook. They invite you in. If you taste an amazing curry or see a beautiful sari, you might think, wow, I want to learn more about the people who made this.
So it opens the door.
Exactly. It is only bad if you walk through the door and refuse to learn anything else. But as a starting point, they are perfect.
Which brings us perfectly to the last section of the book, the universal core. The whole reason we are learning this.
This is where everything comes together. The food, the greetings, the festivals.
The book says that learning about other cultures makes us open-minded, it teaches us respect, and it makes traveling better. And since this is an English learning book, it gives us phrases to practice.
Simple phrases.
Very simple. Like, my culture is very traditional, or people in my country are very friendly.
Grammar-wise, those are basic, but socially, those are huge. When you say to a stranger, my culture is very traditional, you are sharing a piece of your heart, and you're asking them, tell me about yours.
You are inviting them to connect. And here is the best advice the book gives. It says, you do not need perfect English to do this. You just need confidence.
I love that. Just confidence. Why is that so important?
Well, you are the expert here. Tell us about the fear of speaking a new language.
Ow, it is terrifying. When you try to speak a new language, you know you sound like a beginner. You know you are making mistakes. Adults hate feeling stupid, so they freeze up. They get so anxious they just don't speak at all until they think they are perfect.
But if you wait for perfect grammar, you will never talk to anyone.
Right. Confidence here doesn't mean being loud or arrogant. It means being brave enough to make mistakes in public. If you try to speak to someone in their language, even if it is broken, they almost never laugh at you.
No, they're usually just so happy you are trying.
Exactly. The effort shows respect. The connection happens because you tried, not because your grammar was flawless.
That is so true. Just trying bridges the gap. And that leads to the biggest lesson in the whole book. After talking about all these different clothes and spices and greetings, it reveals one big truth.
And what is that?
The book says, even though people are different, emotions are the same. Everyone wants love, respect, and happiness.
Wow. That is beautiful.
It really is. It solves the whole puzzle. We spent this whole deep dive talking about how differently we eat, how differently we dress, and how our families are set up. But the end goal for every single culture on Earth is exactly the same.
Love, respect, and happiness. Because we are human. We need each other. Every culture is just a different recipe for getting to that same happy ending.
But let me ask you this. If we all just want the same three things, does that mean all the cultural differences don't really matter? Are the saris and the sushi and the namaste just window dressing?
No, not at all. It makes the differences even more beautiful. Imagine if there was only one way to show respect in the whole world. Or only one kind of food to eat to be happy.
That'd be so boring.
It would be incredibly boring. The amazing thing about humans is our creativity. People living in freezing mountains and people living in hot deserts all wanted to be happy and connect with their families, and they invented thousands of beautiful different ways to do it.
That is the genius of humanity. The spicy Indian curry and the simple Japanese sushi are both perfect answers to the question, how do we enjoy our food together?
And the Western handshake and the Indian namaste are both brilliant ways to say, I come in peace, let's be friends.
Exactly. The differences are the music of life. We all want the same destination, but the different paths we take are what make life so fun to explore.
I think that is such a great takeaway.
I want to talk directly to you, the listener, for a second. Think about your own life. Think about a time when you were scared to talk to someone from a different country, or scared to try speaking English because you thought you would make a mistake.
We all feel that fear. We don't want to look silly.
But what if you take the book's advice? Just confidence. Know that your grammar won't be perfect, but also know that the person you are talking to wants the exact same things you do. Respect and connection.
If you remember that they are just a human being looking for happiness too, the fear just goes away. You aren't taking a test. You are just making a friend.
Two humans trying to find a rhythm. I love that. So let's do a quick recap of everything we talked about today.
We covered a lot. We started by saying culture isn't a museum piece. It is the operating system of our daily lives.
We looked at food, the beautiful mixing of spices in India, the simple perfection in Japan, and how eating with your hands actually makes food taste better by waking up your brain.
We talked about respect, handshakes for equality, bows for harmony, and namaste for the soul, and how that changes whether kids move out at 18 or stay in a big joint family.
We explored clothes and festivals, how Wasari is a woven piece of history, and how Diwali and Holi bring everyone together to share light and break the rules for a day.
And we ended with the universal truth. That despite all these amazing differences, we all just want love, respect, and happiness. And all you need is a little confidence to start making those connections.
It is a really beautiful lesson.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to think about later.
Oh, I like these. What is it?
Well, the book focuses on physical places. India, Japan, Italy, America,
Yeah.
cultures tied to the weather and the land. But right now, you and I are talking through microphones, and people are listening all over the world on their phones.
Right. The internet connects everyone.
Exactly. We live in a digital world without borders. You can play a video game or work on a project with someone thousands of miles away who you will never meet in person.
True.
So my question is, what kind of new cultures are we building online right now?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. Like, what is the internet version of a handshake?
Exactly. Is it the emoji you use? Or how you type your emails? And what are our digital festivals? Are they viral videos everyone watches on the same day?
Haha, yeah. Or a massive online gaming event.
We are building these new systems based on what we like, not where we live. What will our digital culture look like in 100 years?
That is something to really think about. Do we even need to live in the same place to have a culture?
Keep exploring that idea. Keep looking at your own daily habits and keep an open mind to the beautiful, different ways other people live. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you for listening. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and keep practicing your English.
Keep seeking out those differences because that is exactly where the real magic happens. See you next time.